Hey everyone, and welcome back. Have you ever felt like money just gets you? Like, no matter how much you earn or how smart you think you are about finances, you just can't seem to get ahead. Or worse, you make decisions that make absolutely no sense. Well, you are not alone. The truth is, financial success isn't just about math, spreadsheets or knowing the stock market inside out. It's about something far more powerful and often far more rational, your psychology. Today, we are diving deep into one of the most groundbreaking books of our time, The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. This book isn't just about what to do with your money, it's about understanding why we do what we do with it and how mastering your mind can lead to true financial freedom. If you are ready to financial unlock, the secrets to a healthier, wealthier financial life, one built on common sense, not complex formulas, then stick around. By the end of this video, you will see money in a completely new. Chapter 1. Now Hassel isn't giving anyone a free pass for reckless behavior. What he means is this. Every single person's financial decisions, no matter how irrational they seem to you, make perfect sense to them based on their own unique experiences, beliefs, and the specific economic world they grew up in. We all have a deeply personal relationship with money, shaped by our upbringing, our parents' habits, the racism we lived through, or even the opportunities we never had. Think about it. Someone who grew up during the Great Depression might instinctively hoard cash, viewing debt with absolute terror even if inflation means their cash is losing value. To them, the security of physical money is paramount because they have seen through financial collapse. Now contrast that with someone who grew up in the booming tech era, perhaps seeing quick fortune made from riskier investments. Their normal might involve taking bigger swings, being more comfortable with debt, and prioritizing rapid growth. Neither of these perspectives is inherently crazy. They are simply different lenses through which money is viewed, forged by widely different economic realities. Your unique money lens colors every financial decision you make, from how you save to how you invest to how you spend. It's why two people with the same income can have vastly different financial lives. So, what's a powerful takeaway here for you? First, it fosters empathy. The next time someone makes a financial choice that bewilders you, instead of judging, try to understand their unique story. What might have shaped their perspective? Secondly, and perhaps more importantly, it promotes self awareness by understanding that your financial views are also a product of your past. You can identify your own biases, challenge your assumptions, and make more intentional, conscious decisions rather just reacting on autopilot. Recognizing that no one's crazy help us move from judgment to understanding and from blind habit to informed choice is the first step towards mastering your psychology of money. What's your money lens? Have you ever seen someone make a crazy financial decision that now, after hearing this, makes a bit more sense? Or perhaps you have recognized your own biases? Share your thoughts in the comment below. I would love to hear your perspective. Chapter 2. We are diving into a mind-bending concept from Morgan Housel's brilliant book, The Psychology of Money, the undeniable, often uncomfortable truth about luck and risk. Housel argues that these two forces, often brushed under the rug, play a far bigger role in our financial lives and our lives in general than we care to admit. We want to believe we are fully in control, but acknowledging luck and risk is crucial for true wisdom. Think about it. Luck is the external factor completely beyond your control that creates an advantage. Maybe you are born in a stable economy or happen to meet the right person at the perfect time, or a market trend unexpectedly favored your investment. Risk, on the other hand, is the external factor that can set you back. An unforeseen recession, a sudden illness, or a global event. These aren't about your intelligence or effort, they are the random hand of fate. We often confuse pure skill or brilliant decision making with simply being in the right place at the right time, or vice versa, attributing misfortune solely to poor choices when external factors are overwhelmingly at play. So, what does this mean for your money and your life? Hustle suggests two key takeaways. First, humility in success. If you are doing well, acknowledging that luck played a role, this isn't self deprecating, it's grounding. It prevents arrogance and helps you appreciate the fortuitous circumstances that propelled you forward, making you less likely to take reckless risk later on. You won't confuse your lucky breaks for pure genius. Second, empathy in failure. When you see someone struggling financially, or if you face setbacks yourself, understand that sometimes it's not a lack of effort or intelligence, but simply the unkind hand of risk. This fosters compassion, helps you avoid self blame, and allows you to learn from situations without being paralyzed by them. It reminds you that even good decisions can have bad outcomes, and vice versa due to factors beyond your control. Ultimately, understanding luck and risk help us build more robust financial plans. Plans that account for the unexpected. It encourages a margin of safety and humility in our predictions. If this perspective on money resonates with you, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the notification bell for more insight that will change how you think about wealth and your life. And tell me in the comments below, can you think of a time when luck or risk played a huge role in your financial journey? Chapter 3, Never Enough. If so, you are not alone. Now we are diving into one of the most powerful and insightful chapters from Morgan Housel's incredible book, The Psychology of Money, The Dangerous Idea of Never Enough. Housel explains that we live in a world that constantly bombards us with messages to want more. More money, bigger houses, fancier cars, and the latest gadgets. And while ambition is great, this relentless pursuit can lead to a dark place, what many call the golden handcuffs. Think about it. You earn more, you spend more, your lifestyle inflates, and suddenly you are working harder than ever just to maintain a standard of living that keeps escalating. You become trapped, needing your high income to sustain your high expenses, even if that income comes at the cost of your time, your health, or your freedom. The never enough mindset is fueled by social comparison. We look at others, especially those seemingly above us, and think, if only I had what they have, then I would be happy. But the finish line keeps moving, doesn't it? Housel provides chilling examples like the story of Rajat Gupta, a highly successful former CEO who went to prison for insider trading. He wasn't poor, he was incredibly wealthy, but enough simply wasn't in his vocabulary. His desire for just more, even when he had everything, led him to risk and loss. Absolutely everything. So, what's the antidote to this endless cycle? It's surprisingly simple yet profoundly difficult in practice. Knowing when you have enough, this isn't about giving up ambition or living in poverty. It's about consciously defining a point where your needs are met. Your future is secure and you have the freedom to live the life you truly desire. It's about recognizing the past. That point, more money often brings diminishing returns on happiness and increasing risk. Finding your enough means you protect yourself from dangerous decisions driven by greed or envy. It means you can opt out of the rat race if you choose, and it allows you to truly enjoy the wealth you have already accumulated. Understanding never enough fundamentally shifts your financial perspective. It teaches us that true health isn't about acquiring the most, but about having the wisdom to know when to stop, to be content, and to focus on what truly brings fulfillment beyond material possessions. Chapter 4. Have you ever looked at truly wealthy individuals and wondered how did they do it? It often seems like an overnight success or some secret formula. But what if I told you the real secret isn't a secret at all and it's staring most of us right in the face? Now we are unlocking one of the most powerful forces in finance, a concept Morgan Housel brilliantly explains in The Psychology of Money, confounding compounding. You have probably heard the term compounding interest before. It's often defined as earning interest on your initial investment and on the accumulated interest from previous periods. Sounds simple, right? But Housel reveals why it's so confounding, meaning it often defies our institution and even our logic. He reminds us that true financial growth isn't about getting rich quick, but about understanding the incredible, almost magical power of time. The Warren Buffett example, time is the engine. Housel uses the iconic example of Warren Buffett. When we think of Buffett, we often think of his investment genius, and yes, he is brilliant. But his staggering wealth isn't just because he's earned incredibly high returns every single year. The overwhelming majority of his multi-million dollar fortune came after his 15th birthday and a huge chunk after his 16th. This illustrates the true engine of compounding. Time, it's not about finding the next Tesla or the hottest stock tip. It's about consistently saving and investing year after year, decade after decade, and letting your money work for you over an incredibly long horizon. The small consistent drips eventually become a flood. Why it's confounding? The power of patience. So why is it so confounding? Because our brains are wired for immediate gratification. We expect linear growth. If something doubles in a year, we expect it to double again next year. But confounding isn't linear, it's exponential. For a long time, nothing seemed to be happening. Your balance might crawl, it might even go down during market dips, and that's where most people give up, chasing the next big thing. But the magic happens at the tall end of the curve. Those seemingly small, consistent efforts compound on themselves until they create explosive, often unbelievable wealth. The price you pay for this incredible power is patience and the willingness to look boring for a very, very long time. The takeaway is simple yet profound. Start early, save consistently, and give your money the gift of time. Don't try to get rich quickly, focus on building a robust financial foundation slowly and steadily. Let compounding be your silent, powerful partner on your journey to financial freedom. Chapter 5. Have you ever wondered why some brilliant, hardworking people amass huge fortunes only to lose them? Or why others who might seem less flashy manage to hold on to their wealth for generations? It turns out building wealth and keeping it are two completely different games, requiring distinct mindsets and skills. Today, inspired by Morgan Housel's incredible book, The Psychology of Money, we are diving into the crucial distinction: getting wealthy versus staying wealthy, getting rich versus staying rich. Two different games you need to play. So let's talk about getting wealthy. This is often part everyone focuses on. To build wealth, you usually need to be optimistic. Take calculated risk, be incredible, adaptable, and often work relentlessly. Think of the entrepreneur who pours everything into their new business, or the investor who spots a unique opportunity and goes all in one. It requires a certain amount of daring, vision, and a willingness to step outside your comfort zone. You are trying to achieve abnormal returns, to create something from nothing, or to capitalize on market inefficiencies. It's about aggressive growth, seizing opportunities, and sometimes making bold moves that might seem unconventional to others. This phase is exciting. It's about the hustle, and it often involves a good deal of luck aligning with your effort. But here's the crucial twist Morgan Housel highlights: staying wealthy requires a completely different mindset. While getting wealthy often involves taking risks, staying wealthy is about managing them. It's not about being aggressive. It's about being humble, prudent, and even a little bit paranoid. It means recognizing that the same risk that helped you accumulate wealth can just as easily wipe it out. The market can crash, a business can fail, or personal circumstances can change unexpectedly. People often lose their fortunes because they keep playing the getting wealthy game, continuing to take outsized risk, believing their past success makes them invisible. Staying wealthy means building in a margin of safety, protecting against the unpredictable, and prioritizing survival over maximizing every last percentage point of return. It's about recognizing that you don't need more to be happy, but rather enough to ensure security and peace of mind. Why is this distinction so important for you? Because most financial advice focuses almost entirely on how to get rich, overlooking the equally, if not more, challenging task of staying rich. Understanding these two different games helps you shift your mindset as your wealth grows. It teaches you when to be aggressive and when to be conservative. It reminds you that true financial success isn't just about accumulating a massive sum, it's about securing your future, maintaining your options, and protecting your peace of mind. It's about building a financial life that can endure market storms and life's curveballs. So, which game are you playing right now? Or more importantly, are you prepared to transition from one to the other? Let me know your thoughts in the comment below. Chapter 6. Have you ever heard why some investment or business ideas explode while most just fizzle out, or why do some people achieve extraordinary success despite many setbacks? It often comes down to one brilliant concept from Morgan Housel, The Psychology of Money. Tails you win. This isn't just about luck, it's about a fundamental truth of how the world works, and understanding it can transform your financial approach. So, what does tails you win actually mean? Housel argues that in many areas of life, especially investing, a vast majority of your results will come from a tiny minority of your efforts or decisions. Think about it. Most things are just okay or even fail, but a few outliers, those extreme successes on the tails of the probability distribution, can generate almost all of your returns. It's like throwing 100 darts at a board. Most will miss the bullseye, some will hit the outer rings, but that one or two perfect shots, the tails, are what truly define your score. This isn't intuitive because our brains tend to focus on averages and the typical, but real world returns are often driven by these rare extreme events. Housel uses powerful example. For instance, in venture capital, a firm might invest in dozens of startups. They know full well that 80 to 90% of those will fail or just barely break even. But the one or two massive successes like Google, Facebook, or Apple in their early days literally pay for all the failures and then some. These tail events are where the exponential wealth is created. The same applies to your personal investment portfolio. You might own 20 different stocks or funds. It's highly probable that only a handful of those will be true superstars, responsible for the vast majority of your long term gains. The rest might just plod along or even go down. But because you are invested across the board, you are there to capture those powerful tails. Understanding tails you win has profound implications for your financial strategy. First, it emphasizes patience. You can't predict which specific investment will be the tail. So, you need to be in the game long enough for those outliers to emerge. Many people pull out too early because they are impatient with average returns, missing out on the big ones. Second, it champions diversification. If all your eggs are in one basket and that basket isn't a tail, you are in trouble. By spreading your investments, you increase your odds of catching those rare, oversized winners. It also protects you when most of your investment aren't tails. And perhaps most importantly, it highlights the importance of survival. To benefit from the tails, you have to stay in the game. You can't go bankrupt waiting for them. Build a margin of safety, manage your risk, and ensure you have enough staying power to endure the inevitable failure and plateaus. Because that's what positions you for the rare, game changing successes. So, the next time you look at your investment or think about a new venture, remember not everything needs to be a home run. The goal isn't to be right all the time, but to be right on the few things that matter most. Focus on staying in the game, diversifying, and letting those powerful tails eventually come to you. We chase money, we work hard for it. But have you ever stopped to truly ask yourself what is money for? Is it for the big house, the fancy car, the latest gadgets? According to Morgan Housel, author of the incredible book The Psychology of Money, we are often missing the most powerful answer. He argues that the highest defined money pays the ultimate return on your investment isn't material possessions at all. It's something far more valuable, freedom, or more specifically control over your time. Think about it. We often believe more money means more stuff, but Housel beautifully illustrates that true wealth is the ability to wake up and say, I can do what I want today. It's having the financial flexibility to quit a job you'll hate, to take a sabbatical, to spend more time with your family, or to pursue a patient project without financial pressure. This isn't about being mega rich, it's about achieving financial independence, where your savings and investment generate enough to cover your basic living expenses, giving you immense power over your life. It means your hours are no longer dictated purely by a paycheck, by your own choices. The conventional wisdom often pushes us to earn more to buy more. But Housel flips this on its head. Earn enough to save enough so you can buy back your time. Here's the paradox. Many people chase endless material accumulation only to find themselves trapped in golden handcuffs. They earn more, but their lifestyle expenses inflate equally, forcing them to work even harder to maintain their skeleton bills. This reduces their freedom as they become slaves to their position and their paychecks. Hustle emphasizes that being able to do what you want, when you want, with whom you want, for as long as you want. That's the ultimate luxury. It's a peace of mind knowing you can handle unexpected expenses or simply choose to enjoy a quiet afternoon without financial anxiety looming over you. It's a powerful shift in perspective. Instead of focusing on what you can buy with money, focus on what money can free you from. So, how can you apply this? First, start defining what enough truly means for your life. What level of financial security gives you that precious control over your time? Second, prioritize saving not just for retirement but for options. Every dollar saved is a dollar buying you a bit more freedom. Understanding that money's greatest value is freedom can fundamentally change your financial decisions, leading to less stress and more fulfillment. What does financial freedom mean to you? Let me know in the comment below. Chapter 8. Have you ever seen someone driving a super fancy car or flashing a ridiculously expensive watch and thought to yourself, wow, they must be successful. I wish I had that. Be honest, we have all been there. But what if I told you that the very thing people buy to impress others often falls spectacularly at its own job? Today we are diving into a mind-bending concept from Morgan Housel's brilliant book, The Psychology of Money, called the Man in the Car Paradox. Housel point out something incredibly insightful. When you see someone driving the car, let's say a gleaming Ferrari, what's the first thing you think? Do you think, wow, that person is so cool, they're brilliant, and I admire them immensely? Probably not, right? More often than not, your internal monologue goes something like this: wow, I wish I had that car, or that car is amazing. I hope to own one someday. The paradox is this: people don't admire you for your positions, they admire the positions themselves and often project themselves into your position. You think buying that luxury item will garner respect and admiration for you, the owner. But almost everyone else is simply thinking about how they would feel owning it or how they could get one. Your desire to be admired through your stuff is a one way street of perception. So, why does this matter? Understanding this paradox can save you a tremendous amount of money and a significant amount of psychological anguish. We often get trapped in a consumer cycle, constantly upgrading our lifestyle and buying more expensive things, all in an often futile attempt to impress people who, frankly, aren't paying that much attention to us anyway. This isn't to say don't enjoy nice things if you can genuinely afford them and they bring you joy. The problem arises when the primary motivation for purchases becomes external validation. This leads to what Housel calls keeping up with the Jonas, and a never ending soul crushing race where the finish line constantly moves. Instead of buying things to look wealthy, Housel suggests focusing on being wealthy. True wealth isn't the car in your driveway or the watch on your wrist. True wealth is what you don't see: the money in your savings, the investment quietly compounding, the financial freedom you have built that gives you options and control over your time. These unseen assets are what truly provides security and peace of mind, not the fleeting admiration of strangers who are more interested in your car than your character. The takeaway is simple yet profound. Life below your means, save aggressively and invest for your future. Do it for yourself and your family's security, not for external validation. When you free yourself from the need to impress, you gain immense financial and emotional liberation. Next time you feel the urge to buy something expensive to signal success, pause and ask yourself, am I doing this for me or the imaginary admiration of others? Prioritize building true, invisible wealth that provides freedom, not fleeting status. What's your biggest takeaway from the man in the car paradox? Have you ever fallen into this trap? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Chapter 9. When you picture someone wealthy, what comes to your mind? Is it the sprawling mansion, the latest sports car, or maybe designer clothes? We are constantly bombarded with image of visible wealth, making us believe that's what true riches look like. But what if I told you that's a massive financial illusion? Now we are diving into one of the most eye-opening concepts from Morgan Housel's brilliant book, The Psychology of Money, the idea that wealth is what you don't see. Housel challenges our conventional understanding, arguing that what you think is wealth. Think about it. When someone buys a brand new Ferrari, you don't see their wealth. You see their spending, you see income that has been converted into a depreciating asset. The car might have cost a lot of money, but it doesn't represent wealth. It represents money that is gone. True wealth, Housel explains, is the money you haven't spent. It's the savings accumulating in your bank account, the investment quietly compounding in your portfolio, the emergency fund giving you peace of mind. This is the fundamental paradox. We want to look rich, but to actually be rich, you have to choose not to look rich. The person driving the average car but consistently maxing out their retirement accounts, living below their means, and building a substantial emergency fund. That's a true wealthy individual. Their wealth is invisible to the casual observer, but it provides them with immense freedom, options, and security that flashy spending never could. So, if wealth is what you don't see, what does that mean for you? It means shifting your focus from consumption to accumulation. It means prioritizing your saving and investing over keeping up with societal expectations or the latest trends. Saving isn't about deprivation. It's about building a fortress of financial security that gives you control over your own time and future. It buys you the ultimate luxury independence. Instead of buying things to impress people who likely aren't even paying that much attention to your stuff, redirect that money towards building an invisible empire of financial freedom. That's where real power lies, not in what you own, but in the options you create for yourself. What's your biggest takeaway from this idea? Are you ready to embrace invisible wealth over visible spending? Chapter 10. We live in a world obsessed with showing off wealth, flashy cars, designer clothes, huge houses. These are the images that bombard us daily, telling us this is what financial success looks like. But what if I told you that focusing on these visible displays is the opposite of building true wealth? What if the most powerful financial move you can make is something completely, utterly invisible? We are diving into a profound concept from Morgan Housel's brilliant book, The Psychology of Money, that completely redefines how we should think about saving money. Housel argues brilliantly that wealth is what you don't see. Think about that for a moment. Most of us mistakenly equate wealth with what people spend. We see someone with an expensive car and think they are wealthy. But what we are seeing is just income that has been spent and converted into stuff. True wealth, Housel suggests, is the money that was saved, the income that was not spent. This is a massive mindset shift. The person driving the fancy car might have an enormous income, but if they are spending almost all of it, they have very little true wealth in reserve. They are simply moving money through their hands. On the other hand, someone with a seemingly modest income who consistently saves a significant portion of it is quietly building a fortress of financial security. Their wealth isn't visible on the surface, it's hidden away, growing and compounding, providing future options and peace of mind. This means you don't need a massive salary to become wealthy. You need a disciplined approach to saving consistently. So, why is this invisible wealth so powerful? Because, as Housel also explains, the highest divided money pays isn't the ability to buy more stuff, it's freedom and control over your time. Saving money gives you options. It gives you the ability to say no to a demanding job, to take a career break, to handle an unexpected emergency without panic, or to simply enjoy life without constant financial stress. It builds what Housel calls room for error, a vital buffer against life's unpredictable curveballs. This isn't about deprivation, it's about building a life where you are in charge, not your next paycheck or a sudden expense. It's the ultimate long term reward. The beauty of Housel's approach to saving is that it emphasizes consistency and being reasonable rather than striving for perfect rationality. You don't need to be a financial wizard to save effectively. You just need to show up month after month, year after year and put money aside. The magic of compounding where your savings earn returns and those returns earn their own returns. Takes care of the rest over time. It's not about making drastic cuts to every aspect of your life, but about building sustainable habits that allow you to consistently put money aside. Every dollar saved is a dollar working for your future freedom, growing unseen but incredibly powerful. This approach not only builds wealth but also reduces the financial stress that plagues so many. So, the next time you think about money, remember true wealth isn't about what you spend but what you save. It's the invisible superpower that gives you ultimate control and peace of mind. Chapter 11. Have you ever looked at a perfectly logical financial decision, one that makes absolute sense on paper, and just found yourself unable to do it? Or maybe you did do it, but it left you feeling stressed, anxious, and completely drained. There's a reason for that, and it's one of the most powerful insights from Morgan Housel's brilliant book, The Psychology of Money. Houses argues when it comes to money, true success isn't about being perfectly rational, but about being reasonable. This simple distinction is a game changer for your financial peace of mind and long term wealth. Today, we are going to break down exactly what that means and why embracing reasonable thinking will revolutionize your money mindset. If you have ever felt like your brain and your bank account are at war, this one's for you. So, what does it mean to be purely rational in finance? It means making decisions solely based on objective data mathematical optimization called hard logic. A rational investor would always buy at the absolute bottom, sell at the absolute top, never pay a penny more in fees than necessary, and never let emotions like fear or greed influence a single choice. They would calculate every possible variable and always pick the mathematically superior option regardless of personal comfort or real world friction. For example, a purely rational person might invest every spare penny, even their emergency fund, into the highest performing, riskiest asset because mathematically it offers the highest expected return. They would ignore the stress of volatility or the very real need for liquid cash in an emergency. The problem? Humans are not robots. We have emotions, families, emergencies, and a very human need for sleep and peace of mind. Trying to be perfectly rational is often a recipe for burnout, anxiety, ultimately failure because it's unsustainable. Now let's talk about being reasonable. Housel suggests that reasonable financial decisions are practical, sustainable, and acknowledge the messy emotional realities of being human. It means accepting that you are not a perfect calculating machine and building a financial life that works for you, not against you over the long term. Going back to our example, a reasonable investor wouldn't put their entire life savings into a single risk stock. They might diversify even if it means slightly lower expected returns because the peace of mind and reduced risk of catastrophic loss are worth it. They would keep an emergency fund even if that money isn't earning the highest possible return because they know life throws curveballs. And having that safety net reduces immense stress. Being reasonable means recognizing that the best decision on paper might not be the best decision for your life and your peace of mind. Why does reasonable win out over rational in the long run? Because it fosters sustainability and longevity. Investing and wealth building are not sprints, they are marathons. A rational strategy might be optimal for a moment, but it's often too fragile to endure the inevitable ups and downs of the real world and human emotion. When markets crash, the perfectly rational person might panic and sell at the worst time because their plan had no emotional margin for error. A reasonable approach, however, builds in buffers, allows for human error, and prioritizes long term consistency over short term optimization. It ensures you can stick with your plan through thick and thin, which is ultimately what unlocks the true power of compounding and long term financial growth. It's about enduring, not just excelling briefly. This concept of being reasonable is truly at the heart of a resilient and successful financial life. So, the next time you are facing a financial decision, ask yourself, is this the most rational choice or is it the most reasonable choice for me and my life? Prioritizing your peace of mind and building sustainable habits will lead you much further than chasing mathematical perfection. Chapter 11. Have you ever looked at a financial forecast or a historical chart and thought, yep, I have got this figured out? Then BM. Life shows a curveballs no one saw coming, and suddenly all your carefully laid plans are in disarray. We have all been there, right? Well, now we are diving into one of the most eye-opening concepts from Morgan Housel's brilliant book, The Psychology of Money. The chapter is simply titled Surprise. And trust me, this insight is going to change how you think about your financial future forever. Housel kicks off this idea by stating something profound. History is the study of change, ironically used as a map of the future. Think about that for a second. We meticulously study past stock market performance, economic cycles, and historical trends, believing that if we understand the past, we can predict the future. And while history can offer valuable lessons about human behavior and common patterns, it's a terrible guide for anticipating the truly transformative, impactful events, that ones that surprise us. Why? Because the biggest events, the ones that reshape economies and societies, are almost always unprecedented. They don't have a clear historical parallel. They are black swan events, rare, unpredictable, and with extreme impact. Think about 9/11 and 2008 financial crisis or the COVID-19 pandemic. Did anyone's historical models perfectly predict those? Not. The reason we are so susceptible to surprise is our human tendency to focus on averages and the most common outcomes. We look at the average stock market return over 50 years or the typical economic growth rate. But Housel points out that almost all of the market's long term returns and the biggest shifts in our world come from outlier events, the extreme ends or tails of the distribution. Most of days in the stock market are boring, most years are fairly average, but it's the few rare extraordinary days or years, the massive crashes or the explosive boom periods that dictate long-term returns. Yet our brains are wired to ignore these low probability, high impact events because they are uncomfortable to think about, and our data sets often don't have enough examples of them. We plan for the predictable, but the truly impactful financial moments are born from the unpredictable. And that's where the danger lies. If we don't account for it, so, where is the takeaway from surprise? It's not to stop planning, but to inject a healthy dose of humility and room for error into a financial strategy. Housel emphasizes that the correct lesson from history is that the future will always be different from the past. This means understanding that your forecast will be wrong, your plans will hit snacks, and unexpected events will occur. Instead of trying to predict the exact nature of the next surprise, focus on building a financial life that is resilient enough to withstand any surprise. This means having an emergency fund, diversifying your investments, avoiding excessive debt, and simply being flexible. It's about survivability over optimization. The goal isn't to perfectly forecast the future, but to ensure that no matter what crazy thing happens, you are financially strong enough to weather the storm and keep moving forward. The surprise chapter from the psychology of money is a powerful reminder that while we can learn from history, we should never use it as a rigid blueprint for what's to come. Embrace the unpredictability, build in that crucial room for error, and prioritize financial resilience above all else. What is the biggest financial surprise you have ever experienced? Or what unexpected event taught you the most valuable money lesson? Let me know in the comments below. I love hearing your stories and insights. Chapter 13. We all love a good plan, right? We plan our careers, our vacations, and our investments. But what happens when life throws a curveballs? What happens when the perfect plan hits an unexpected snag? Today, we are diving into a crucial concept from Morgan Housel's brilliant book, The Psychology of Money, the idea of room for error. This isn't just about financial planning, it's about building resilience in every aspect of your life. And trust me, understanding this can save you a lot of stress and a lot of money. So, what exactly is room for error? Housel argues that it's about anticipating that things will go wrong, not just that they might. It's the opposite of efficiency at all costs. Think of it like this: a bridge builder doesn't calculate the bare minimum steel needed, they add extra as a safety margin. A pilot doesn't plan for the exact fuel needed, they always carry reserves. This extra, this buffer, this margin of safety is your room for error. In finance, it means having a cushion, a backup plan, a redundancy, because the future is inherently unpredictable. It is a sober acknowledgement that even the best laid plans can be derailed by something completely unforeseen. Why is this so critical for your money? Because life, and especially the financial markets, operates on what Nassim Nicholas Taleb calls black swans, highly improbable, high impact events. We tend to plan based on average outcomes, assuming the future will look a lot like the past. But market crashes, unexpected job losses, medical emergencies, or global pandemics aren't average. They are the tails of the distribution, and they can wipe out years of progress if you don't have a buffer. Many people go broke not because they made a bad investment, but because an unexpected expense hit them at the worst possible time, forcing them to sell investment at a loss or take on high interest debt. Room for error acknowledges that even when you think you have calculated everything perfectly, there's always an unknown variable. So, how do we build this vital room for error into our financial lives? It's simpler than you think. First, and perhaps most importantly, build a robust emergency fund. This is cash, easily accessible, that can cover several months of living expenses. It's your financial safety net, allowing you to weather job loss or unexpected bills without derailing your long term plans. Second, embrace diversification in your investment. Don't put all your eggs in one basket or even to spread your investment across different asset classes, industries, and geographies. This way, if one area struggles, your entire portfolio isn't wiped out. Third, minimize unnecessary debt, especially high interest consumer debt. Debt reduces your flexibility and makes you more vulnerable to financial shocks. The less obligated you are to future income, the more room for error you naturally create. These steps might seem conservative, but they are the bedrock of long term financial survival. Ultimately, room for error isn't about being pessimistic, it's about being realistic and building resilience. It's about accepting that uncertainty is a permanent feature of life and preparing for it. It gives you the peace of mind to navigate financial storms without panic because you have already accounted for them. Chapter 14. Have you ever meticulously planned out your financial future? You know exactly how much you will save by 30, what kind of house you will buy by 40, or precisely when you will retire? Well, what if I told you that the person making those plans probably won't be the same person executing them? Sounds a bit mind bending, right? But it's a profound truth from Morgan Housel's incredible book, The Psychology of Money, and it's something you absolutely must understand to achieve true financial peace. One of the most eye opening chapters in Housel's book is simply titled You Will Change. It's a powerful reminder that our desires, our priorities, and even our personalities are not static. The person you are today, with your current financial goals and aspirations, is not the same person you will be in 10, 20, or even 5 years from now. Think about it. Your 18-year-old self probably had vastly different dreams than your current self. What seemed incredibly important then, perhaps a certain word or a crazy adventure, might now seem trivial or even irresponsible. Life experience, relationships, career shifts, having children, loss, unexpected opportunities, all these things reshape who are and, by extension, what we truly value. This concept is critical because we often make long term financial plans based on our current desires, assuming they will remain constant. But Housel brilliantly highlights that this assumption is fundamentally flawed. The danger here lies in rigidity. If your financial plan is set in stone, based purely on your current wants, you risk setting yourself up for future regret, frustration, or even financial ruin. Imagine committing to a massive mortgage on a dream home only to discover years later that your definition of happiness has shifted dramatically to travel or minimalism. Housel tells us that the hardest financial plan to stick to is one that assumes your future self will want exactly what your present self wants. It leads to what he calls the highest walls, situations where you feel trapped by past decisions. You might have saved aggressively for a specific retirement date, only to find that your passion for work has grown, or your health requires a different path. This isn't about being flaky or indecisive. It's about acknowledging a fundamental aspect of human existence. We are constantly evolving. Ignoring this reality can lead to significant unhappiness, forcing you to maintain a lifestyle or pursue goals that no longer align with who you have become. So, what's the answer? How do you plan for a future self you can't predict? How self doesn't say don't plan. He says build plans with flexibility and room for error. Instead of hyper specific goals, focus on building financial independence, a margin of safety that gives your future self options. Having an emergency fund, minimizing debt, diversifying your investment, and saving for general freedom. Rather than just a specific purchase, allows you to pivot when your priorities inevitably change. It's about having enough saved so that when that unexpected passion project comes along, or you decide you want to work less or live in a completely different place, you have the financial runway to make that choice. It's about not being chained by your past financial commitments. The most sustainable financial plans are those that can bend without breaking. They are designed to accommodate the unknowable changes life will throw you away. The changes you will undergo within yourself. The You Will Change chapter, The Psychology of Money, is a profound reminder to approach your financial life with humility and open mind. Don't be afraid to adjust yourselves as the winds of life shift, and always prioritize building the kind of wealth that offers you the ultimate luxury choice. Chapter 15. Have you ever looked at the stock market and thought, man, if only I could get those amazing returns without all the stomach churning ups and downs? Or wished you could build wealth without the constant worry of inflation or a market crash? Well, you are not alone. We all chase that elusive free lunch in finance. But what if I told you that in the world of money, nothing is truly free? Now we are diving into one of the most powerful and often misunderstood ideas from Morgan Housel's brilliant book, The Psychology of Money, the concept that everything has a price and sometimes that price isn't measured in dollars. Housel argues that many of the things we label as risk in finance are just fees. The necessary cost you pay to achieve your goals. Think about it. When you buy a coffee, you pay the price, right? You don't call it risking $5 for a latte. You understand it's a cost of getting the coffee. Housel says we should view market volatility, uncertainty, and even temporary losses in the same way. The stock market, for instance, has historically provided incredible returns over the long term, but it doesn't give those returns away for free. The price you pay for those returns is enduring the periods of doubt. The stomach churning dips, the news headlines screaming about impending doom. Those are an unexpected risk to be avoided. They are the admission price for participating in long term growth. If you are unwilling to pay that fee, you don't get the returns. Let's break down some of these fees. 1. The fee of volatility. Want to earn 8 to 10% average annual returns from the stock market? Great. But be prepared to pay the fee of seeing your portfolio drop 20%, 30%, or even 50%. That's not a failure of your strategy, it's the cost of admission. 2. The fee of patience. Compounding is magical, but it takes time. The fee you pay for this incredible force is a discipline to wait decades, resisting the urge for quick wins or trying to time the market. It is the cost of delayed gratification. 3. The fee of uncertainty. The future is unpredictable. You pay a fee for not knowing exactly what's next, whether it's inflation, recession, or technological disruption. Smart investors build in a margin of safety to account for this uncertainty, effectively paying a small fee in potential efficiency for greater resilience. 4. The fee of missed opportunities. If you save diligently and avoid excessive debt, you might sometimes feel like you are missing out on flashy purchases or get rich quick schemes. That feeling of missing out is a free. You pay it for the peace of mind and financial security that comes from sound habits. Why is this shift from risk to fee so powerful? Because risk sounds like something you should avoid or eliminate. It triggers fear and often leads to panic selling or irrational decision, but fee sounds like something you expect, something you pay to get what you want. When you frame market downturns as a fee for long-term returns, you are less likely to freak out. You understand it's part of the deal, you pay it, you move on, and you continue to benefit from the long-term upward trend. It helps you manage your emotions, which has Housel emphasizes is the most crucial part of financial success. The mindset encourages acceptance. You can't control the market movement, but you can control your reaction to them. You can't eliminate the fees of investing, but you can choose to pay them patiently and consistently. So, the next time you feel the sting of market volatility or the frustration of waiting for your investment to grow, remember Morgan Housel's wisdom: nothing's free, you are simply paying the necessary fee for the incredible privilege of long term wealth creation. Accept the cost, manage your emotions, and you will be well on your way to a healthier, wealthier financial life. Chapter 6. Have you ever had a financial conversation with a friend, a parent, or even a mentor and just walked away thinking, are we even living on the same planet? Maybe they swear by saving every penny while you believe in strategic debt, or they panic about a market dip while you see opportunity. It's like you were speaking different financial languages, right? Well, what if I told you that these differences aren't just personality quirks but are deeply rooted in something far more profound? Today, we are diving into a core idea from Morgan Housel's brilliant book, The Psychology of Money, the You and Me Effect, or more broadly, the concept that no one is crazy when it comes to money. Housel argues that your unique financial worldview Your deeply held beliefs about money are shaped less by textbooks and more by your personal experiences. Think about it. Someone who lived through the Great Depression will inherently view debt saving differently from someone who grew up in an era of sustained prosperity. They are not wrong, they are simply responding to the indelible lessons life taught them. He calls this a financial world. If you entered the workforce during a booming stock market, you might have a higher tolerance for risk. If you started during a recession, job security and cash savings might be paramount. These are not just preferences, they are embedded psychological defaults born from your unique economic history. There's the you part, and everyone else has their own me part, born from their unique history. Understanding this you and me dynamic is absolutely critical for two main reasons. First, it fosters empathy, reduces judgment. When someone makes a financial decision that seems irrational to you, whether it's overspending, being overly frugal, and over making a seemingly reckless investment, trying to consider their historical context, it helps you see their perspective. Even if you don't agree with their choices, they are not crazy. Their experiences have simply shaped their financial lens. Second, and perhaps even more importantly for your financial journey, it helps you filter advice just because a famous investor or a well meaning relative has success doing things a certain way. Doesn't mean that path is right for you. Their me is different from your you. Their market conditions, their risk tolerance born from their past, their available capital is all unique to them. Blindly following someone else's blueprint without understanding the psychological bedrock it was built on can lead to disastrous results. You might take on too much risk or conversely be too conservative for your own long term goals simply because you are trying to fit into someone else's financial scheme. So, what can we do with this powerful insight? It boils down to two key actions. First, cultivate radical self awareness. Spend time reflecting on your own financial history. What were your earliest memories of money? What did your parents teach you? What major economic event have you lived through that might have shaped your financial biases? Understanding your own you is the first step to making more intentional choices. Second, when seeking advice or observing others, always consider their context. Ask yourself what experiences might have led them to this financial philosophy. Does their advice truly align with my unique situation, my risk tolerance, and my own financial world? Don't outsource your financial decision. Use external information to the you and me effect from the psychology of money is a profound reminder that personal finance is above all personal. There's no one size fits all answer, and your unique journey is your biggest asset in building a resilient financial life. Chapter 7. Have you ever noticed how bad news just hits different? How a headline predicting doom and gloom instantly grabs your attention more than one about quiet progress? It's not just you. There's a powerful force at play here, and Morgan Housel. In this book, The Psychology of Money calls it the seduction of pessimism. Housel points out that while optimists might quietly go about building, innovating, and growing, it is the pessimists who often capture the headlines and our attention. Why? Because gloom and doom just feel more urgent, more sophisticated, and frankly more intelligent. Predicting collapse sounds wise, predicting steady progress often sounds naive. Think about it. Who gets more airtime, the economist predicting a recession or the one calmly explaining long term economic growth? This isn't an accident, it's rooted in our psychology. Firstly, negativity bias. Our brains are hardwired to pay more attention to threats. It's an evolutionary survival mechanism. Bad news demands immediate attention because it could signal danger. Secondly, pessimism sounds smart. It takes effort to build and create, but it's often easier and quicker to point out flaws and predict failure. It gives the illusion of foresight and intelligence. making the speaker seem sophisticated even if their predictions rarely materialize. Houses give example throughout the history from their predictions during the Industrial Revolution to constant warning about market crashes. While correction and challenges do happen, the overall trend of humanity has been one of progress, innovation, and growth. Yet, the voices of despair always seem louder and more compelling in the moment. It's like gravity. Progress is a slow, steady pull upwards, and crashes are sudden, dramatic events that grab all the headlines. Reduction of pessimism isn't harmless. If we constantly succumb to the belief that things are always getting worse, it can lead to inaction. We might hoard crash, avoiding investing, or miss out on opportunities for growth because we are waiting for the inevitable collapse that rarely comes as predicted. This fear driven paralysis can be far more damaging to your financial future than any market downturn. It's easy to predict the end of the world. It's much harder but ultimately more rewarding to participate in the messy, imperfect, but undeniable long term upward trend of progress and innovation. Pessimism can be a comfortable intellectual stance, but it's rarely a profitable one. So, what's the antidote? Housel doesn't advocate for blind optimism. Instead, he suggests a reasonable optimism, an understanding that while setbacks are inevitable, humanity generally solves problems, adapts, and innovates over time. This quiet, persistent optimism combined with patience and a margin of safety is what truly fuels long term financial success. Don't let the loud, alluring siren song of pessimism trick you into missing out on the quiet, compounding power of long term progress. Understand its appeal, but choose to act on a more balanced, hopeful view of the future. Chapter 18. Have you ever found yourself in a situation where the financial world just feels incredibly confusing? Maybe the market was crashing or everyone around you was losing their minds, and suddenly some wild, comforting story just clicked for you. Even if deep down it seemed a little too good to be true or too simple to be real. Well, you are not alone. Our minds are wired to seek out narratives, especially when uncertainty takes over. And today we are diving into a fascinating insight from Morgan Housel's brilliant book, The Psychology of Money. Housel has a powerful chapter called When You Will Be Believe Anything, and it gets right to the heart of how our brains handle uncertainty. Especially with money, the core idea is this: when you are faced with something scary, complex, or just plain confusing, your brain is far more likely to cling to a simple, digestible story, even if that story isn't entirely accurate. It's about our deep seated need for control and understanding. When we don't have enough information or when the information is overwhelming, our minds will fill in the blanks with whatever narrative feels most reassuring or fits our existing biases. We would rather have a flawed answer than no answer at all. Think about it. When the stock market is crashing and your portfolio is shrinking, what do you crave? Not more complex economic data, right? You want to know why it's happening and, more importantly, what's going to happen next. In these moments of fear or greed, anecdotal evidence, conspiracy theories, and confident but baseless prediction can become incredibly appealing. Housel points out that we often rely on stories because they are memorable, they are emotional, and they offer a sense of clarity that raw data simply can't provide. We hear a story about someone who got rich overnight on a single stock, and suddenly that specific stock or that specific strategy feels like a sure thing. We ignore all the countless failures and focus on that one compelling tale. This is fueled by confirmation bias, our tendency to seek out and interpret information in a way that confirms our pre existing beliefs. If you already believe the economy is headed for disaster, you will naturally gravitate towards news and opinions that support that narrative, no matter how flimsy the evidence. So, what does this mean for your money? It can lead to some seriously poor financial decisions. 1. Chasing fads, believing the get rich quick stories that circulate during bull markets, leading you to invest in speculative assets without understanding the underlying risk. 2. Panic selling during market downturn, believing their prediction and selling your investment at the worst possible time, locking in losses based on emotional narratives, not rational analysis. 3. Ignoring evidence, dismissing sound financial advice or long term trends because a compelling but ultimately false story fits your current emotional state better. Remember the dot com bubble, or more recently, certain cryptocurrency booms and busts? People weren't investing solely on fundamentals, they were swept up in compelling narratives and the fear of missing out, often believing things they wouldn't have under calmer circumstances. So, how do we protect ourselves from this powerful psychological trap? The antidote isn't easy, but it's crucial. Cultivate skepticism, not cynicism, but a healthy skepticism towards simple answers. Dramatic predictions and compelling anecdotes, especially when they confirm what you want to believe. Focus on long term data, fundamental principles, and proven strategies over flashy stories. Understand that true financial success is often boring, slow, and requires patience through periods of uncertainty. When emotions run high, that's precisely when you need to lean on logic and your pre established financial plan. Understanding when you will believe anything is about recognizing your human nature. It's about building awareness so that when the noise gets loud, you can pause, question, and make decisions based on reason, not just comforting narratives. Chapter 9. We have spent a lot of time diving deep into the incredible insights of Morgan Housel's The Psychology of Money, exploring concepts like compounding, luck, and risk, and the surprising power of enough. But what if I told you that the true magic happens when you bring all these pieces together? Today we are talking about Housel's powerful concluding chapter, All Together Now. This isn't just a summary, it's the ultimate lesson in transforming your financial life. If you are ready to see how all these puzzle pieces fit, stick around and make sure to hit that like button. House's All Together Now chapter isn't just a recap, it's a synthesis. It's the realization that while each of the book's individual lessons, like the power of compounding or the importance of a margin of safety, are incredibly valuable on their own, their true strength emerges when they are understood as an interconnected web. Financial success isn't about mastering one single trick, it's about consistently applying a few timeless principles, allowing them to compound on each other not just financially but physically. This chapter emphasizes that the seemingly simple ideas, when woven together, practiced with humility and patience, create an incredibly robust and resilient financial life. Think about it. The magic of compounding isn't just about your money growing, but also your patience and discipline growing over time. The concept of enough protects you from the siren song of social comparison, allowing your savings to compound undisturbed by endless consumption. Margin of safety isn't just a financial buffer, it's a psychological one, giving you the peace of mind to ride out volatility and stick to your long term plans. Houses argues that these ideas aren't siloed. They amplify each other, understanding that luck and risk play a role foster humility, which in turn encourages building that essential room for error. It's about creating a system of behaviors that support each other rather than contradict. The ultimate takeaway from All Together Now circles back to Housel's core philosophy. Financial decisions weren't about being perfectly rational, but about being reasonable. We are humans, not robots. We have emotions, biases, and unique life experiences. A perfectly rational financial plan might look great on paper, but if it doesn't account for our human nature, our fear, our greed, our need for security, it is destined to fail. Being reasonable means building a financial life that acknowledges these human elements, prioritize peace of mind, and allows for flexibility. It means accepting that good decisions sometimes come with an emotional cost and being willing to pay it for long term success. So, as you build your financial future, remember the all together now principle. It's not about seeking one secret trick, but about consistently applying a few powerful, simple, and reasonable behaviors. Cultivate patience, embrace humility, define your enough, build a margin of safety, and understand the profound impact of compounding. When these elements work in concert, you create an unstoppable force for financial well being. Chapter 12. We have talked a lot about the big universal truth in Morgan Housel's The Psychology of Money, but today we are pulling back the curtain on something even more personal and incredibly insightful: Housel's own confessions. This isn't just theory anymore, it's how the author himself actually applies this powerful financial principle to his own life. If you have ever wondered how the gurus really manage their money, stick around. This is going to be eye opening. One of the house's first and most striking confessions is this: he is not financially aggressive. In a world constantly pushing us to maximize returns, chase the next big stock, or leverage ourselves to the hilt, Hazel chooses a different path. He openly admits he aims for reasonable returns that allow him to sleep at night rather than chasing the highest possible gains that might come with immense stress and risk. He values his peace of mind far more than an extra percentage point of return. This confession challenges the very core of what many finance channels preach. It reinforces the idea we discussed earlier about enough and room for error. For households, the benefit of having a financial safety net, of knowing you can weather any storm, far outweighs the potential for slightly more wealth. It's a powerful reminder that sometimes the best financial move is the one that brings you the most inner calm. Another key confession from Housel is his surprisingly aggressive savings rate and his preference for simple, diversified index funds. He doesn't obsess over individual stocks or complex trading strategies. Instead, he focuses on what he can control, how much he saves, and how broadly he invests that money. He consistently saves a significant portion of his income and then lets the power of compounding and broad market exposure do the heavy lifting. This isn't flashy, it's not exciting, but it's incredibly effective. It's the antithesis of the get rich quick mentality. Housel's approach highlights that true long term wealth is built slowly and steadily. By consistently putting money aside and letting it grow in a way that's largely resistant to individual company failures or market fads, it empowers you by focusing on what's within your power, not on trying to predict the unpredictable market. This next confession is perhaps the most liberating. Housel values independence over status. He confesses that his biggest financial goal isn't to buy a fancy car or a huge house to impress others. Instead, it's gain to maintain control over his time. He wants the freedom to choose what he does, when he does it, and with whom. This means valuing a significant emergency fund, low debt, and having enough saved so he doesn't have to work if he doesn't want to. This ties directly into the book's concept that freedom is the highest dividend money pays. Hustle isn't just writing about it, he's living it. He prioritizes flexibility and resilience in his financial life, allowing him to adapt to unforeseen circumstances and pursue opportunities without being tied down by overwhelming financial obligations. It's a powerful testament to the idea that true wealth isn't about what you spend, but the options your money creates for you. Finally, Housel confesses to his own biases and the inherent imperfection of many financial plans. Even as an expert, he knows he is human. He acknowledges that his personal history and experiences shape his financial decisions, just like ours do. He doesn't pretend to be a perfectly rational economic agent, and he builds room for error into his plans precisely because he knows life is unpredictable and his view might change. This humility is perhaps the most important takeaway from his confessions. It permits us to be human, to accept that we won't always make the perfect financial decision, and to build in buffers for when things go wrong or when we change. His confessions are less about giving us a rigid blueprint and more about sharing a flexible, human centered philosophy for navigating the complexities of money. So, what's your biggest confession or takeaway from Hassel's insights? Does his approach resonate with you, or do you have a different philosophy? Let me know in the comments below. I love hearing your thoughts. If you found this deep dive into Housel's confessions valuable, please hit that like button. It really helps the channel and tells YouTube you want more content like this. Don't forget to subscribe and ring the notification bell so you don't miss our next video. Thanks for watching and I'll see you soon.